Mikel Arteta has a massive decision to make. I mean, is this risky? Yes, but it could be genius. There's been countless examples over the seasons of Mikel Arteta making a decision, and with time, it looks so good. He seems to always get this right. Cast your minds back to Jurriën Timber, for example. When we first signed Jurriën Timber, most of us would have said this is a guy that we hope can play left back. You got to think this was a time before Calafiori, before Miles Lewis-Skelly, where the other three defenders were Gabriel, Saliba and Ben White. Most of us were pushing arguments that these guys are best in slot in their position. Gabriel and Saliba, we would have been saying they're the best centre-backs. Ben White, most of us were arguing for Ben White being the second best right back behind Kyle Walker. None of us saw Jurriën Timber coming in and stealing Ben White's position, because most of us would have said that position isn't up for grabs. That's not a position that we need to improve. But Mikel Arteta saw something in Jurriën Timber. He spent a lot of money on him. He brought him in. And although he played a few games in the left, it wasn't long before he played on that right-hand side, his preferred position. Ben White now is second choice behind Jurriën Timber. And could something similar be happening in central midfield? The only difference this time is Mikel Arteta will be forced to make a decision when it comes to this. I'm talking about Gabriel, because he's going to be out. And this isn't me saying, look, because Gabriel's out, someone else might come in his place and play even better than him. But this is a chance for us to really look at Hincapié under a microscope and say, there must be a reason why Mikel Arteta brought you in. Like, think of the fee. How much did we pay for Hincapié? 50, 60 million. You don't pay that much on a player if you don't expect him to play a solid amount of minutes. And again, look, me sitting here, I can't imagine a world where Hincapié starts playing and his performances exceed Gabriel's. But I didn't expect that with Ben White and Jurriën Timber either. There's other examples of Mikel Arteta bringing players in for good money. Kai Havertz, and him being one of the first names on the team sheet. Look, am I approaching this in an optimistic way? Yes, because I'm forced to, because we're without Gabriel. And if I had the choice to play Gabriel in the next game, you better believe I would take it. But this is me now approaching this because we're starting to hear rumours that Gabriel might be out for a little while, you know. Like, I'm hearing reports of some people, like I'm listening to them and they're saying, look, this could be between 4 and 6 weeks. Some people are saying, do you know what? I don't even believe this is real. Let me know your thoughts on this Gabriel injury. Are you worried about it? Look, I've said constantly, I think our defence is good enough to get through this next period of games. But Gabriel is our most important player right now. And I want you to genuinely let me know if you agree. Is Gabriel so far this season Arsenal's most important player? Because to me, he is. The performance levels of Gabriel's have been unprecedented. Like how important he is defensively in terms of being that leader, that dictator, but also in those attacking areas as well. That's not me saying players like Declan Rice, Zubimendi, Jurriën Timber, David Raya at times aren't instrumental in the way that Arsenal have performed this season. Like, there is debate. Some people might have Gabriel as the most important. The next guy might have Declan Rice or Zubimendi. And you can see why, because again, the performance levels of all these guys have been incredible. But Gabriel, without doubt, is in that conversation. But now we have to start planning for a period of time where we're without Gabriel. This isn't the first time we've had to do this season, by the way. When Bukayo Saka got injured, most of us were thinking, do you know what? This makes things so difficult. Bukayo Saka's our most deadly player, our most dangerous player. He got injured, we started playing Madueke, and by the end of it, people were saying, is there a discussion that when Saka comes back, he has to fight for his position with Madueke? Like, these were real conversations that we were having, right? So if we do get news that Gabriel is out injured, I'm just trying to say to people, this might not be the end of the world. And people will always say, you're too positive. Where do you get this positivity from? It's from the countless examples I see of us panicking this season, because there has been some moments where we've panicked. When we lost William Saliba, I think it was in the Liverpool game. Most of us were thinking, what? How are we going to be without William Saliba in this game? Mosquera come in And that guy's performances were unbelievable. We were speaking about it as Arsenal fans. Rival fans were saying, how on earth have Arsenal uncovered this gem for under £20 million? The media was speaking about his talent. So the drop-off wasn't too much. We could be in a similar situation now when it comes to Gabriel. Most of us are thinking, life without Gabriel will be terrible. Gabriel, like I just said, is one of our most important players. But what about if Andrea Berta and Mikel Arteta studied Hincapié and saw something that is even more important to this Arsenal team? Again, I'm not saying it will be, but I'm just saying there might be a world where Hincapié comes in when we're all panicking thinking, oh man, we got to do this without Gabriel. And he slots into this team seamlessly. I'm hoping that happens. Look, like I said, I'm being optimistic because I'm looking at the fixtures we've got coming up and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. We've got Tottenham, then we've got Bayern Munich, then we've got Chelsea. We need to have top performances from all these players to go through this period unscathed. Look, Liverpool and Man City, these are the guys we're in the title race with, supposedly. I think most of us would admit that Liverpool are not out of it, but it's going to be very difficult from the position they currently find themselves in. I think right now the battle is between Arsenal and Man City, and I think most people would agree with that. Man City have got a period of games now where they've still got some decent teams, but they will be looking to hunt Arsenal down. Man City will be on the hunt. Pep Guardiola, at this point, will smell blood. Because again, he will be going off recent evidence. He will be looking back to 2 years ago when Arsenal were leading the league and Man City hunted us down and overtook us and then won the title. He's going to be thinking, he's going to be constantly saying that to his players. Stay within touching distance. Stay within touching distance, because we know what happens with this Arsenal team when we start to get into January, February, and the thermals start going on, the gloves start coming out. This Arsenal team will crumble. I don't think that will happen. I think this Arsenal team is now different. We've now built ourselves to a point where I think we can sustain a title push and win it. Of course I'm expecting that. I'm an Arsenal fan. Look, Gabriel will be missed, but this is a chance to see players like Hincapié, players like Mosquera, and I want you to let me know in the comment section, who do you think replaces Gabriel? Because I am almost certain Gabriel will miss this next game. To the people who are hoping that this is a bit of a hoax, that this is Mikel Arteta playing some mind games and Gabriel will be back for the Tottenham game, look, if it is, I've been fooled. Would I love it? Yes. But unfortunately, I don't believe that to be true. This is a real injury. I'm hearing reports of this Gabriel having a scan and Brazil saying, well, Brazil wouldn't come out and apologise to Arsenal if this was fake. It doesn't work like that, right? So Gabriel, there's an injury there. Arsenal are going to wait a few days, scan it again, and then assess the situation. I'm almost convinced that Gabriel misses this next game against Tottenham, right? So then we have to start having some conversations about, right, how do we actually work this? We're all frustrated we're going to miss Gabriel, but we need to move on. We need to look ahead. And is it Mosquera? Because people know what Mosquera can do. With Hincapié, there is a little bit of an unknown. Look, I'm excited still to see the performances of what Hincapié can do on that left-hand side. But I also want to see what he can do at centre-back. Like, he hasn't had a run of fixtures in this game, in this team yet, where you can start to build an idea of what type of attributes and what this guy can offer Arsenal. So this is the perfect time. And like I said, Arteta and Berta have spent a lot of money on this guy, so we could see what Hincapié is about. And I'm predicting, I'm quietly confident that most people will be surprised. Anyway, I'm hoping, like I said, if it follows the same trend that players like Mosquera, even players like Zubimendi, there was a bit of trepidation when he first came in and he started playing some games and he looked a bit shaky, but now he's adapted. He's definitely, again, in the conversation of being Arsenal's most important player this season. So the decision-making process of Berta and Arteta has been so strong that Hincapié coming in, like I said, it might be seamless and we might be panicking for nothing. I hope the Gabriel injury isn't bad, but we just need to wait a little bit longer and see what Mikel Arteta come out and says. Let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. Like I said, let me know who do you think is Arsenal's most important player this season, and also who do you think replaces Gabriel at centre-back. Like I said, thanks for watching. Before you go, if you could do me a quick favour, just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.